What's up, everybody? Welcome to Philly with Jon Marks on PHLY, as always, presented by BetParks. Right now on the BetParks app, Eagles -3, Sunday Night Football. The Sixers back in action tonight at home against the Brooklyn Nets, 5.5-point favorites. Remember 2 days ago when it said it's got to be the lock of the year, the Sixers are favored on the road against Memphis? Oh, they're winning this one. We'll see what happens tonight. Actually, I want to start off with the Sixers today. So here's the deal. I'm not going to spend more than a couple minutes here rehashing everything, talking a little bit about tonight. We're going to quickly transition in the headlines, and then we're going to do a cannonball into the pool with Eagles and Rams and NFL, because we haven't really talked a lot about the Eagles in the last half of the week here, and I'm excited to do so. Anyway. Just a couple things from yesterday. After I got off the air and I was driving home, by the time I had gotten home, I had a number of text messages from people that work in the business, and not just talk radio, kind of across all platforms, a couple pretty big names too, thanking me. And I'm like, my reaction was, "You watched the show?" They're like, "Yeah, we watched the show." Like, yeah, I'm not every day do I watch the entire show, but yeah, I was watching this morning. I saw your tweet. I wanted to hear what you had to say. And the thank yous that I got for voicing my displeasure with the broadcast and the post-game crew after the game on Wednesday night, it was unanimous in saying, thank you for doing that, because someone needed to say it. And here's what I've learned with local broadcasts, and kind of here's what I do with local broadcasts. You don't hear me criticize them a lot, because it's a tough job. Nationally, if you're making big national money and you're a national broadcaster, if you're Tony Romo and I think you suck, I'm going to say you suck. But like, for the most part, locally, you're not going to hear me complain about a lot of them, because I think everybody's very good. Now, the 76ers TV broadcast is not among my favorites. And that's not necessarily a shot at Kate Scott. I think it's more of a commentary on Allah. But again, like, whatever, the broadcast is the broadcast. There's a lot of national games that I can watch. But the post-game crew, I heard Amy Fadul went on, she's a usual on with John Kincaid and Andrew Shalchunas on The Fanatic on Thursdays. And I didn't hear it, but I was told that she was doubling down on the being positive with the 76ers, which is fine. If you go and you're doing talk radio and your takeaway the day after a game is, no, I understand they lost, but this team's going to be fine, there's a lot of positives. Like, all right, I don't think that it's the right move to do the day after the team loses and they're 2-12, and Joel Embiid mouths off and says, whoever says that is a piece of bleep. Your focus is, oh, well, there's still a lot of positives. Sometimes you just have to let fans be mad. Sometimes you just have to live in the moment and realize, I can talk about positives before the game on Friday. But that's not where we are right now. They just lost to a Memphis team that was missing a lot of their starters, a lot of their good players, and Sixers were favored in the game, and it should be a desperation 2-11, 2-11. Now they're 2-12, right? Sometimes you just have to let people vent, and sometimes it's okay to be angry. Could you imagine Ricky Batalico in the same situation, going on post-game live and saying, well, listen, I know we just blew another save in the 8th inning and the 9th inning, and they lost, and the offense isn't doing anything right now, and the team now is 10 games under 500. But, like, let's look at the positives. Oh, it was a really good at-bat by Bryson Stott in the 4th inning. And, even though Bryce Harper just came back from injury, he did look really good, and he had a home run, right? Ricky Batalico goes nuts after the Phillies lose games. So I had a lot of people say, you think it's coming from upper management from Comcast Sportsnet or NBC Sports Philadelphia. I do not, because they don't act like that on the other shows. All right, so that's that. Joel Embiid, it was a report or something that was said by Jake Fisher of the Bleacher Report, who's gaining to be one of the top NBA insiders, and he's a local dude, but one of the top NBA insiders out there. And he had said, and I'm paraphrasing right now, that Joel Embiid, when I have it right here, I'll just read it. When ESPN reported details on Tuesday morning from inside the 76ers team meeting following Monday night's blown lead in Miami, one league figure close to Philadelphia's all-star center told me, quote, Joel is going to be furious and that Embiid was going to try and find the Sixers' supposed snitch. So he's going to, and I mean, his initial reaction was, whoever did that is a piece of bleep. So, I mean, maybe the Sixers didn't put that out there. Sorry, maybe it wasn't the Sixers. I think everybody, and we talked to Keith Pompey yesterday, and Keith acknowledged that he had suspicions that the 76ers put that out there. I don't know. It would make sense for the Sixers to put it out there. But whoever did that put that out there, and here's the thing, and here's what Joel needs to realize. It didn't necessarily mean that there was a player or a coach in the locker room that went out and texted Shams and said, call me. And then he called him and he said, here's what happened in the team meeting. These players have managers. These players have agents. Word gets around. So I doubt that it hadn't been heard before that Joel Embiid is tardy and isn't the most committed player in the world. To our agents, everybody knows what's going on. So after there's a big team meeting and someone gets word of that, it doesn't mean that a player told an agent or told a manager with the express written consideration to, hey, go give this to Shams so he can break a big national story the following day. So Joel trying to find the snitch like he's in a friggin' jailhouse is about as ridiculous as the way he reacted after the game to everything that's going on. So I'm not surprised at all. The focus should be on how do we get better going forward. The focus should be, hey, I need to change a little bit. Instead, it's the story that comes out that he's very mad and he's going to try to find who the snitch was. It's none of it is productive. So the team is at home tonight against the Nets, and it is going to be a media feeding frenzy at the Wells Fargo Center. Before the game, when Nick Nurse speaks, I don't know if they talk at shoot around today or what, but you're going to have the Howard Eskins and the Marcus Hayes and the columnists and the reporters and everybody else that you didn't have in Memphis. And the players are going to be asked. The coaches are going to be asked. Everybody's going to be asked. And I'm curious to see how everybody reacts to all of this tonight. Because the only thing that really matters is how does Joel Embiid respond? Because if you're a 76er fan, you want to see the season turned around and you want to see the 76ers make a run. The way that he reacted, and this is the first time that I'm going to say this, because I have always been the guy that says, hey, the best path going forward is with Joel Embiid. He's got generational talent. If you can just find the right mix and the right coach to put around them, their best chance of winning a championship is with Joel Embiid here. Not trading him for first-round draft picks, not trading him for a decent player and a good player and a draft pick. Like, finding the right team around them. I'm officially, for the first time, saying that that is not the case anymore. It is time to move on from Joel Embiid, and it is time to have an exit strategy from Joel Embiid. He's not going to get it. He's never going to get it. Short term, could he get it? Okay, maybe. The Sixers aren't winning a championship with Joel Embiid. It's time to move on. It's the first time I actually feel like this, and it's the first time I'm saying it. You got McCain. You got Maxey. You have assets from a trade. You have Daryl Morey, who's done a great job with some draft picks and with some grabbing some other players. You have Yabusele, who looks like he could be a real player and not just a bench contributor. You have a decent core that can very easily lose in the second round of the playoffs, just like you do with Joel Embiid. Leadership matters. Culture matters. All of those things matter. Generational talent to me doesn't matter anymore. I'm over it. I'm done. So, can my mind be changed? Of course. If they turn this season around, could I say, hey, maybe this can work? Yeah, of course. It doesn't mean ultimately that it will, because I don't believe that it will. Hopefully they can turn this season around. They can't trade him, and they're not going to trade him anyway, but they can't trade him until the offseason. And I don't know if Daryl Morey has the balls to trade him, honestly. But you're seeing signs for the first time that maybe the Sixers are starting to realize, hey, this ain't going to work with Joel Embiid. Culture matters, man. It just does. And Jimmy Butler coming back and saving the day and being able to wrangle Joel Embiid because he's his big brother. F that. I'm over that. I'm over all that stuff. Time to move on from Joel Embiid. All right, heavy Eagles-Rams conversation coming up here. But we have to get to the headlines with Tyler Zulli, as there's a lot going on, including a Thursday Night Football game last night. Tyler Zulli, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning to you as well. Happy Friday to you and everybody hanging out with us today. You've made it through another week. Congratulations. Yes, a lot to get into.
And this week in particular, Tyler, because next week is a holiday week and it's a short week. So you feel like if you made it to Friday this week, you've almost made it past next week as well, because next week's an easy
That's
week.
the thing. I think, I would say a majority of Americans have off on Thursday. Obviously, if you're in a particular role, healthcare or law enforcement
Security,
or whatever that might be. I know, unfortunately, some may have to work on Thanksgiving, so I'm sorry for that. But a majority of Americans are off Thursday, and I think a lot of people are, whether by their company's design, because I've seen more and more companies give off the Friday after Thanksgiving, or by their own merit of taking PTO or a day off, right? A lot of people have a 4-day weekend coming up, so it's really a 3-day week. And then all of a sudden, John, you look up and you go, oh, it's December. Because Monday morning, it's going to be December 1st. Or actually, Sunday morning, it's going to be December 1st.
I had said this to Vince Pellegrini yesterday. We were talking, and I said, we're already like into the new year, because once December hits, that month goes very quick. People start checking out. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure. And by the way, K-Red makes a good point. Everybody that works in retail on Friday, I am so sorry. I am so sorry.
It's not the old days, though. It's bad. You're right.
But here's my thing: is the companies that shifted to the, hey, let's start Black Friday at 6 o'clock on Thursday night. Like, dude, let people be with their families.
People be with their families. Tyler, I totally agree.
All right. Anyway, let's get to the headlines. They are brought to us by our friends over at Glad Hair Restoration, because it's not just about restoration with them. It's about innovation. Breakthrough treatments can really dramatically change your life. So if you want to improve how you look and how you feel, Glad has the right treatment for you. Head on over to gladhairmctr.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started. You brought up the Sixers. They are back in action tonight as they have another NBA Cup game for those who care. They will take on the 6-9 Brooklyn Nets at the Wells Fargo Center. Sixers 2-12 as they look to snap what has become a fairly lengthy losing streak. Now 4 games they have lost in a row. They've lost to the Knicks, the Cavs, the Magic, and the Heat. Oh, excuse me, a 5-game losing streak, because they've also lost to the Grizzlies. So they will look to snap a 5-game losing streak. They play tonight. They will also play on Sunday evening against the LA Clippers if you're looking ahead to the weekend.
Here's the question. Is this a get-right game? The Nets aren't...
I don't know anymore.
The Nets aren't pathetic like the Sixers have been this year. Ben Simmons, I was looking at the box scores from their last game. Ben Simmons had one of the Ben Simmons games where he had double-digit points. He had 9 assists or 9 rebounds. He had 6 assists. It's when all the Sixers fans used to tell me, oh, look at those stats. Look at that. Great defense. Oh, he's so great. We didn't even talk about Ben Simmons coming back and playing tonight at the Wells Fargo Center. That's awesome. I can't wait to hear the boos for Ben Simmons.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't care anymore.
Me neither.
I cared for a bit. I'm not going to lie to you. I got all consumed by the Ben Simmons saga and probably got more angry than I should have. But I'm at the point where I don't care anymore about the Ben Simmons stuff. He plays, he doesn't, he shows up, he sits in regular clothes, he sits in his jersey and his team pull over.
He looks good when he's very stylish when he's not playing and he's wearing the sweatshirts.
Oh,
and
sure.
the different stuff.
Yeah,
very
but
stylish. I couldn't wear it.
I don't care anymore. I'm past it.
Me too.
Flyers tomorrow night, or tomorrow afternoon, I should say, back at it. They'll take on Chicago at home. It is a continuation of what has been a pretty lengthy homestand for the Flyers. They are 1-2 on this homestand so far, a 5-game homestand that wraps up on Monday against the Golden Knights, but they will take on Chicago tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Pre- and post-game, of course, with our PHLY Flyers crew for that one as well.
Yeah, you're getting to the point of the season where Zamboners like me, it's like, all right, start of the season, they were bad, then they were good again. Now you enter this territory where it's like, all right, you can kind of lose, and we were just talking about the holidays, you can kind of lose track if you're just a casual fan with Thanksgiving and with the holidays or whatever. So it'll be a fun stretch for the Flyers to see how, now that they've settled in, to see where they go from here. I mean, this is really, it'll be really telling for where we are because they've made a lot of strides here. So I'm excited to see what we got for the rest of this year, the rest of 2024.
Yeah, so you bring up Thursday Night Football yesterday. It was the Cleveland Browns getting their third win of the year as they beat the 8-3 Pittsburgh Steelers 24-19. Nick Chubb scores a late touchdown for the go-ahead score in what was a snow-filled, wintry mix, heavy winds, type of AFC North game that we've come to expect, and the Browns improved to 3-8. This game, by the way, was 10-3 at the end of the first half, and 10-6 at the end of the third quarter. So if you jumped in on a live line to take the under, 27 points in the fourth quarter is not going to help you.
Yeah, it was and unfortunately I stayed up for this one as well. I've watched more now, and I'm getting up earlier than I ever have, and I'm watching more of these Thursday night games because they're better this year than they've been. So there was a play late on you talked about that Nick Chubb touchdown drive. There was a play where Jameis Winston, where was he? They were at the 25-yard line, so it's 3rd and 2. Jameis Winston goes back. He's getting pressure. It's intentional grounding. But because it was an illegal touch pass because the offensive lineman got it, instead of being ruled intentional grounding, which it should have been, which would have made it 4th and 14 or 4th and 15, it was a 5-yard penalty, replay the down, because it was an illegal touch. Or it became did they decline it? Legal touch pass, 4 yards enforced, no play. So then it becomes third. So it was so it ends up becoming 4th and 1. And they went, anyway, it was clearly an intentional grounding. And because the lineman had the illegal touch, then that overruled the intentional grounding, which is stupid. And it's at the ref's discretion who said, well, no, it wasn't intentional grounding because it was this penalty. Ends up bailing the Browns out. They convert and end up scoring a touchdown. So I know I have my Stiller friend that was texting late on the text chain, furious, and he's right. It was a bad call, but I like it because I don't like the Steelers.
All right, one final news of note yesterday is the Major League Baseball MVPs were announced. No surprise as to who won, but both players end up winning unanimously. Shohei Ohtani wins his 3rd MVP and 1st in the National League. He gets all 30 first-place votes in the National League. Ohtani joins Frank Robinson as the only player to win the award in both the American and the National League. It is his 3rd time winning the award. Aaron Judge takes home unanimous first-place votes in the American League. Bobby Witt got all 32nd-place votes in the American League as well. Judge becomes the 7th Yankee to win the MVP multiple times. He joins the list of Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, Alex Rodriguez, and Roger Maris. And before this season, Mickey Mantle's 1956 season was the only one in which a Yankee won by unanimous decision.
Really?
So Ohtani and Judge, both unanimous MVPs, and a lot of history being made in the process of those two winning those awards.
That's Yankee fans how Judge did in the playoffs, and they'll tell you. You look at the numbers that both these guys put up. Monster.
He struck out a ton in the postseason. Obviously, as we've mentioned, these are regular season awards. He was sensational in the regular season. Shohei Ohtani was great throughout the course of his season as well. And Shohei Ohtani, by the way, becomes the first player ever to win the award as predominantly and almost exclusively, well, in his case, it is exclusively as a designated hitter.
Wow, that's interesting. Now next year he's going to be pitching.
Correct.
So we haven't seen the pitcher / DH with the Dodgers. So that's going to be fascinating, him coming back from Tommy John. All right, Tyler. Coming up, we'll talk about the Eagles and the Rams, and we have a new story on Jason Kelce. And Jason Kelce also is hosting a new late night TV show. He was on Jimmy Kimmel last night to announce it. We'll get to all of that coming up next on Philly with Jon Marks. But hey, let's listen. Central City Toyota. The website, centralcitytoyota.com. It's my Uncle Jamie. He's the GM of the dealership. He's worked there for nearly 30 years. Service, selection, largest parts and service dealership in Philadelphia. Heart of University City, 55 years on Chestnut Street. you're in business that long and you're that successful when you run a good business. How do you run a good business? Customer service, attention to the customer, treating the customer the right way. And my Uncle Jamie, I've seen it firsthand. The many years I've been a customer at Central City Toyota, from my Toyota Corolla that I first bought in 2005 to the Highlander and the Sienna that we have right now. You're not going to get a better dealership, and they have a one-price policy. So everything is transparent. It's not the old days where they're doing like, oh, we got a sucker here. We're going to try to get that. No. They realize that, listen, they're going to sell you a customer. They're going to sell you a car at a great price, and you're going to come back, and you're going to come back, and you're going to be a repeat customer, and you're going to tell your friends and family, you're going to get your car serviced here. That's what makes Central City Toyota the best. And if you work in Center City, you want to get your car serviced on your way into work, boom, drop it off, take the shuttle into work, or by appointment basis at centralcitytoyota.com. You can have them come pick up your vehicle from your office. Boom, they'll take it back, service, and then return it to you before the end of the day. centralcitytoyota.com. For all of that, ton of pre-owned inventory right now, certified pre-owned, certified Toyotas, amazing selection, great prices, cars under $12,000 as well. centralcitytoyota.com. Don't go anywhere. All right, Bet Parks. As I mentioned, the Eagles remain, I've seen it down to 2.5 in some spots, but the Eagles remain 3-point favorites Sunday Night Football, Sunday against the Rams. I would hold off because I do think that might get down to 2.5 or 2 before kickoff. It may stay right at 3 because it's went down 0.5 point since the beginning of the week. So I would hang tight if you want to bet the Birds on that. Also, tonight in basketball, Philly, a 5.5-point favorite over Brooklyn. Anybody have confidence to lay the 5.5 for the Sixers? Tyler's shaking his head. I'm going to stay away from that one. Oh, man. Anyway, we got a lot of football coming up this weekend. You could bet more than the score in pro football. Bet player performances, touchdowns, passing, rushing yards, interceptions, live betting, and more. Every weekend, BetParks presents Double the Spread, a boost on one select pro football game. You can check out the BetParks app every Friday afternoon. So that's this afternoon, and they put out a Double the Spread game. They'll double the spread. Make it worth your while. Check it out. New users also, if you download the BetParks online casino and sportsbook app, get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. Play all your favorite casino games with a live dealer right on your phone. That's for real cash. Casino bonus must be wagered. See betparks.com for details. Must be 21 and in PA, New Jersey, Michigan, Maryland, or Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, there you go. So Jason Kelce, and this is and then we'll get right into the Eagles here and the Rams. Jason Kelce went on the Jimmy Kimmel show last night. I had seen somewhere that he was going on the Kimmel show. I didn't realize that it was to announce his new late night TV show. Before we get to that quickly, there's a video out there that's circulating. I saw it on TMZ. So Kimmel is in Los Angeles, and I guess in the back of like wherever the celebrity or guest enters, there's like this fence and this like area where people can't get in, and the car goes in, and that's where it parks, and then they go in some back door to go in the studio, right? So people are gathering, fans are gathering, people are gathering behind this fence, and they're trying to get autographs. So obviously the locals, or if you're coming into town, this is where you go if you want to get an autograph from celebrity A, celebrity B, singer A, singer B, athlete, whoever's coming on the show, right? And I guess a lot of times they'll sign autographs. I guess a lot of times they don't sign autographs because they've never seen this before. But it makes sense that this is where people would gather. So there's somebody that's taking a video, and there's this idiot. There's this total a-hole, this total loser that is screaming at Kelce as Kelce's getting in the SUV with his entourage and his security after he was on Kimmel, screaming, calling him every freaking, not using homophobic words, but just F-bombs and calling him this and calling that and ripping him and all this other stuff. And finally, after like 90 seconds, Kelce gets out of the car and comes over, and he treats him with such kindness and respect that I would have never treated him with the same respect, but it just was nice to him. And it was really well done by Jason Kelce, and he didn't need to do it. And he had no idea that somebody had a phone that was recording him. He wasn't doing it for that. And the guy ends up passing him down, and you can't see what it was, but it looked like some kind of a framed photo or something like that. And Kelce ends up signing it. So this dick is obviously yelling at Kelce, and he's mad because he wants him to sign it so he can make money selling it off eBay or selling it whatever else. And I've seen it so many times. I've worked player shows, and I've worked with athletes. I've worked with Deshaun at multiple things after you're retired. I worked with Brandon Graham for nearly a decade. I've seen, and these autographed people that come out, and they're rats. They are lowest form of rats. They come out because they're trying to get you to sign something so they can go sell it. And the athletes know it. You see the same faces at all these events, and the athletes know the same faces. So a lot of times, they'll sign for kids. They don't want to sign for everybody because they know this rat has a football or like something from the player, and he wants to sell it so he can make money. Kelce came over, and he signed it, and he signed some other autographs as well. But so it was it made Kelce look good. So I tweeted that video out. So, as much as I said, like, Jason, hey, man, you can't be spiking people's phones, and he can't be spiking people's phones. Like, if he would have punched this guy in the face, I would have been like, you know what? He deserved it. But he handled it very well. All right, so Jason Kelce. First of all, Tyler Zulu, you joined the conversation. Are you a late-night TV fan?
Not.
Are you up late watching Johnny Carson?
Not at all. Even so, I've said this to you before. I have always been a night owl. Like, mornings to me are difficult, yes, which is kind of counterintuitive to the show that we do.
Could be problematic.
But no, I've never been much of a, even when I was up late at night, like I would watch games, and then my late nights is, because a lot of times in my late nights would be like just me, right? My wife would go to bed. The dog would kind of be chilling by then. We've done everything we need to do. Most of the time, my late nights were either, stupid YouTube videos, like watching the content creators that I watch, or playing video games. I would watch maybe the 10 o'clock game for a little bit, check out, play some video games or something like that. I don't do a lot of network TV, period, but I definitely was not a late night, talk show.
Yeah, it's not your generation.
Yeah, no.
My mom is Action News at 11 o'clock, and then she's watching the monologue of Jay Leno.
Right.
And then if he has a good first guest, maybe she stays up for that segment, and then she's in bed by 12:15, or she's asleep 12:15 or whatever, right? And I grew up, Johnny Carson was the big name. Letterman
Sure.
did the 12:30 show, and then he ended up moving over, and then you had Jay and whatever. But I've never watched Jimmy Fallon.
Well, so here's the thing. I don't particularly like Jimmy Fallon. I think he's kind of fake. Like when you watch a clip of him and he'll have a guest on, and listen, I understand it's part of his job to like hype the guest up, but like the guest will say something even moderately funny. And he dies laughing. And he's like, he thinks everything is like the greatest thing ever. And I look at it and I go, you don't have to be fake like that all the time. Like sometimes a joke falls flat, And so I'm not a big Jimmy Fallon guy.
Like Kimmel, Conan back in the day when he was the 12:30 show after Leno, I thought Conan was great in the early days. But I'm over it. But Kelce is, so he was on Kimmel last night. He is going to be hosting a show that is called, they call it Late Night with Jason Kelce. It's going to air on ESPN. It's a 1-hour show. It's going to tape on 5 straight Saturday nights beginning January 3rd, which is the last week of the NFL regular season, and then the start of the playoffs. It's going to be filmed in front of a live audience. I want to say a live studio audience because that's what they always used to say, at Union Transfer in Philadelphia. Tyler, we literally could walk to Union Transfer in less than 2 minutes.
Since it's where it's located, and our location is fairly close in proximity.
Yeah, more than fairly close.
I think maybe we should take
I was thinking the same thing.
Maybe we should take a trip down there and see a show.
Well, the problem is 11.
We're gonna end up having to sleep on the couch here.
I don't know what time they're gonna tape it. Maybe I guess during the day. Yeah, I mean. So anyway, it's going to air at 1 a.m. starting January 4th, with the final episode at 1:30 on February 1st. So they put it out there as kind of a test case. And if it ends up working out, who knows where it goes? I mean, really, who knows where it goes? He might end up having the first late night sports show like a late night talk show. I think it's there. And here's the thing. It's less about how many people watch live And I think it's more about the clips that are generated. I don't know how many people actually watch the Pat McAfee show. I'm sure a lot of people because he is popular. But he became big because of the clips that are on YouTube, TikTok, et cetera, the shorts. So I think the same thing is going to be used with Jason Kelce. If it ends up being a good show, maybe they bring it on full time or it becomes a regular feature on a Friday night. The Philadelphia-based band Snack Time will provide the show's music. They call it Late Night with Jason Kelce is a play of words off of John Facenda, and what they used to the famed they call it Pro Football was one of the first NFL Films things that they put out there. They call it Pro Football. It was one of the first titles that NFL.
The
Films
Autumn
did.
Wins.
Yes, it was one of exactly. It was one of them. So there you go with Kelce. I'm really interested in it. I'm interested to see how it works and exactly what the setup is. Is like, do they have a non-sports person with them? Is it him and they're figuring out who the cast of characters is with around? I don't know. But to me, it sounds pretty good. He said that we're going to have a bunch of guys up there, legends of the game, friends that I play with, coaches and celebrities. The fact that they're having it right up the street. Union Transfers, by the way, in the days that I used to go out, it was the big after-hour spot up there. And I never had fun when I went after hours, but you'd see some crazy things. So anyway, there you go. Are you interested, Tyler? Are you gonna check in? Maybe it's some short clips.
Yeah, I'll probably watch the clips more than the actual show. Like I don't think I'll have any interest in like a full hour-long episode, but if they put something good out, I'll probably watch it. Same way I feel about like the New Heights podcast. Like I watch the shorts.
Yeah, I'm not glued every week.
Can't say I'm invested into the podcast.
Right. It also says in the ESPN article, it says Kelce has made news lately, though, for other reasons. And then it documents the thing in Penn State, and then it brings up the thing last night. That's unnecessary. The thing that happened at Penn State, it happened at Penn State. It was obviously news. It shouldn't be held against him at all because, frankly, I don't really blame him for doing anything. He can't continue to act like that going forward, but he shouldn't be criticized for it. He apologized afterwards, which I really didn't think he needed to do to that length, but he can tell you that it tells you a lot about the guy for doing it. So I don't think that part of the story was necessary. He made the news lately for other reasons. He didn't get a DUI. He didn't get arrested. Bad stuff didn't happen. It was an isolated incident where I'm sure that he regrets it. All right, so we have a game on Sunday. Sunday. The Eagles are rolling right now, and this feels more real than at any point last year for me. This Eagles team right now feels more real than the Eagles team did last year, and it got to a point where when they were 10-1, where you kind of just had to say, "Hey, they're winning games. I can't complain or I can't criticize the team. They're finding ways to win games." But they were finding ways to win games. And they stopped finding ways to win games. It's tough to constantly be able to win these close games. And this week you do this, and that week you do this. This team has been dominant, albeit against some lesser opponents. But the defense, to me, feels real this year. I don't think they're going anywhere. They're young. They're athletic. They don't know what they don't know, which is the expectations now are, hey, this team can go to the Super Bowl. The one thing that I worry about is the slow starts. The Eagles are averaging 9.8 points in the first half this season. That's 19th in the NFL. So you're talking about a top team in the NFL, which the Eagles are a top 5 team. Normally, you would think that they get off to better starts. They're not even split down the middle. They're 19th in the NFL. Not good. What is good is they lead the league in second half points, 16.1 points per game in the second half. So once they get rolling in the second half, The worry is that against a better opponent, the slow start's going to bite you in the ass. So they got to clean that up and they got to figure that out. Now, the Rams are healthy for the first time this year. Really now, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are back. 5-5. They started 1-4. The Rams, it's been a couple times where the Rams have started slow, and I've written the eulogy like, yep, there you go. Rams are done. They're not climbing back in it this year. They have. They're healthy. Matt Stafford, if you can protect them, is still dangerous. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are among the top wide receiver tandems in the league. But the Eagles also have their young secondary. I can't wait to see what they look like against what can be a high-powered offense, especially at home in Los Angeles. The Rams have a very good and explosive defensive line. Kobe Turner, Jared Verse, who is one of the favorites to win Rookie of the Year. Turner could have won it last year. Braden Fisk, who's been very good. He leads the team in sacks. The Rams secondary is not good. So if you can protect Hurts, and the interior also has a good pass rush with the Rams, it's just not coming from ends. Protecting Hurts is the biggest key in this game, because I expect the Eagles to try to throw the football based on the way that the secondary has performed for the Rams. And then second half, run the ball and run it down their throat. That's when the Eagles have been at their best, when they can run the ball in the second half. Don't give up on the run in the first half. But to me, it feels like that if you're game planning for the Rams, you're going to want to throw the football. I'll be curious to see what the Eagles have for on Sunday night. The Rams also have kicker issues. Their kicker, Joshua Carty, McVay is actually on the record saying that he doesn't have a lot of confidence, and he's passed up on a couple of field goals that he normally would have taken. How worried are we about Jake Elliott is the question. Can I let you know after this game on Sunday night? Because this has happened with Jake before. I remember, might have even been the year after the Super Bowl or soon after the Super Bowl, maybe 19 or 20, where you know how kickers are. Sometimes you lose them, you lose them. Justin Tucker's really struggling right now. We'll see where he goes. But Elliott, after struggling during the course of a year, really turned it back around. He's been one of the best kickers in NFL history. So I hope he's able to turn it around. As far as this game, so you have the Rams and then you have the Ravens at next week, 425. So you're going Sunday Night Football. You're in Los Angeles. You got to go all the way back across country. These guys probably aren't getting home until 7 o'clock in the morning on Monday. So it starts your week off. It changes the routine. It changes a little bit of everything. Players will tell you that, it does affect them. It's not a huge effect. Who the Ravens have this week? We were just talking about this, Tyler, because I'm picking the Ravens.
LA playing the Chargers on Monday Night Football.
They're playing the Chargers in Los Angeles. So both of these teams are in Los Angeles. Yes. So they're going to have the same thing where they're coming back. They're flying West Coast to East Coast. So if the Ravens were to win this week against the Chargers and they're favored as well, then you kind of like, all right, I expect the Eagles to win one of these games and to lose one of these games. So if they lose to the Rams, I think they beat the Ravens. If they beat the Rams, I think they lose to the Ravens. The Ravens really can't afford many losses here because they have 4, and that's more than they probably should have at this point. So I'm picking the Eagles to win, but I think it's a close game. So I'm going to take the Eagles 24-23 in a nail biter.
Wow. Okay.
And they win the game, but they don't cover. The line would have you believe that they cover the game. I just think this is a tough game because Sean McVay has done well against the Eagles. He's a master schemer. And I just think this year they're a good football team at home, and the Eagles are a good football team. But I'll take them to win a short one. Here, how are you feeling about this week there, Tyler Zuli?
I feel better apparently than you do. I look at this game, and I think you're right. I do believe that they're going to win one of the next 2 games, and we've talked about this earlier in the week. If I had my druthers, they would win this game if we believe they're going to split. Like obviously, we would prefer a 2-0. 2 weeks. But if we believe they're going to split, I would much prefer they beat the Rams and to lose to the Ravens than inversely. Then people are going to go, well, you beat the bad team and the lesser team and you lost to the better team. I'm not worried about the eye test of it particularly right now. I'm worried about the conference record, and beating the Rams would be more beneficial to you than beating the Ravens would be. You've already lost twice within the conference. Outside of your division, you've lost to the Falcons, you've lost to the Buccaneers. You can't really afford a third non-division loss within the NFC.
You're going to lose any tiebreaker to the Lions.
Right. So, listen, You might lose to Washington when you play them again. You might lose to, Baltimore or Pittsburgh in the next couple of weeks because, either A, they're good teams, and B, with Washington specifically, it's a divisional game. It's hard to beat a team twice in a season, when they're a good team. if everything were to play out the way that you want it to play out, and we think they go 1-1, I would much prefer they win this week than they do next week. With that being said, I think they do win this week, and I think they win this game by more than what you are giving them credit for. I am going to take them with the points. I think they win this game 27-20, and I'm going to lay out 2 reasons as to why. I think this is a Jalen Hurts game.
Ooh.
And the reason I think that this is a Jalen Hurts game, through the air specifically, the Rams are an opportunistic pass defense. They have 10 interceptions this year. That is tied for 7th in the NFL. They also give up 67% completion percentage, and they give up the 3rd most yards per attempt at 8.2. Only Dallas and Jacksonville give up more. I believe that Jalen Hurts, even though he started slow in the game against the Cowboys, had pretty good days against both of those teams. Now, granted, he was helped out by the fact that he was good on the ground against Dallas, but I think he had really good days against both of those teams. I am expecting Jalen Hurts to be, as long as he's protective of the football, and I said, the Rams have 10 interceptions this year. That's a pretty high number. Again, 7th across football, but they give up a lot of completions, a high completion percentage at 66%, and they give up the 3rd most yards per attempt at 8.2. If the Eagles are able to protect the football, and that starts with Jalen Hurts, and then inversely, they're able to slow Kyren Williams down. The Rams have 5 losses this year. In 3 of those 5 losses, Kyren Williams went for 60 or less yards. 62 or less. 62 against Miami, 25 against the Cardinals in week 2, 50 against the Lions in week 1. Now, he did have 102 against Green Bay in a loss, but in the Rams' 5 wins this year, he's gone for 89, 97, 76, and 86 yards. Now, he hasn't scored a rushing touchdown in 4 weeks after scoring one in the first 6 weeks of the NFL season. If you can contain Kyren Williams and force Matt Stafford to beat you, who's been good, who's gotten the ball out of his hands quickly, and as you mentioned, gets his receivers starting to be a little bit more healthy. I think if Jalen Hurts plays a solid, protective game, a turnover-free game or close to it, plus they're able to bottle up Kyren Williams the way that some of the Rams opponents have over the last couple of weeks, I think they're going to win this game by more than the 3 and by more than you're giving them credit for. I'm going to take the Eagles 27-20 in this one, and I think they do cover the 3-point line.
All right, I have a rebuttal to that coming up, so don't go anywhere. Also, listen, we're giving out free money on the program today. The picks have been red hot. We'll get to the BetParks app and give you our locks of the week and a new segment on the show, Intern Daulton's Stat of the Week. That's coming up next, Philly with Jon Marks. Don't go anywhere. But hey, listen, TrueMark Financial. I was at the Gateway Shopping Center yesterday getting my hair cut at Razor Bar. I didn't realize there was a TrueMark Financial right there. I can't avoid it, right? There's one here, the Phoenixville. There's one on Trooper. So there's a number of them near me. And I'm going to do this with my kids, right? Because they have their savings account, and we save money and we put it in there. But how about this? TrueMark has the ultimate playbook for teaching financial responsibility. It's called the Green Light Account. It's free. The Green Light app is changing the game, helping kids and teens learn how to earn, save, and spend wisely. They can set up savings goals, track their spending, and even get an allowance, all right there in the Green Light app. And here's the really cool part. Each kid gets their own debit card. All right, I don't know if my 8-year-old needs a debit card. This is a great idea. But it's teaching them financial responsibility, right? So they can make purchases and learn real-world money skills. And you're in control. You control it all from your phone. You get peace of mind, and they get the freedom to make smart decisions with their money. It's like coaching your kid through their very own financial game. And for TrueMark Financial members, it's free. That's right. The holidays right around the corner. It's the perfect time to introduce your kids to Green Light. You know what? Mary Ellen, if you're out there watching, we're coming in next week. Get signed up today. TrueMark.com/greenlight for more information. Well, there you go. All right, so let's talk about Ace. We need to come up with a parody song with the Ace song, because Ace is the place when you're pathetic like me. Ace Hardware Home Services. If you have something going on in your house, like honestly, and I don't know if Ace is going to help me with this, because thank God I bought the extended warranty, because my ice machine in my refrigerator is busted. But if you have something going on with your heater, with plumbing, general maintenance, whatever it is, the Helpful Hardware folks are also now the Helpful Home Service and Repair folks. That's right, Ace Hardware Home Services. Whether it's plumbing, heating, cooling, trusted pros to keep your home humming all year long. Bringing Helpful Home, the helpful you love, from the store now to your front door. Whenever you have a job, remember, Ace Hardware Home Services, local plumbers and techs that handle everything from repairs, seasonal maintenance, installations, and upgrades. They bring Helpful to your home so you can worry about your own stuff, right? Visit Ace Hardware Home Services at acehardwarehomeservices.com. Emergency services are available for when you need them the most. Free estimates on equipment installation and replacement with trusted advisors and options that are best suited for your home and budget. Visit acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. All right, quickly, and then we'll do our locks. I think this is, I see this, I don't know if they do it an over-under on turnovers on a game. I would predict 5 turnovers in this game. Stafford is going to throw the ball a lot, I believe, and he'll throw up interceptions. This is a really good Eagles secondary. And the pass rush, in particular from the interior on the Rams defense, I could see Jalen getting sacked a couple times and losing the ball a couple times. So this could be a difficult game. Good defensive battle along the lines. So I just think it's going to be a little bit of a sloppy game. So I don't have them covering. Tyler has them covering, but we both have them winning. All right, let's get to our, Tyler, let's get to our picks for the week. And we've been hot. We could probably charge for this segment. We're not going to, because we appreciate people tuning in.
We're not going to, because the minute that we do, we're going to go 2-14 over the course of 3 weeks or something.
That's part of it too. But we have been good. I had a slow start. I've been money on the Eagles all year long, but I had a slow start with the rest of the NFL. Not the case. 3-1 total last week. I nailed 2 of my 3 NFL picks. So here's what I have this week. The Ravens on the road, 3-point favorites at the Chargers. Chargers are being talked about as being one of the better teams in the NFC. Why the hell are they underdogs at home? Well, it's because they don't have a great home field. And the Ravens kind of need this one, right? They fell to the Steelers last week, and you get another loss, another conference loss. You know, you're talking about another MVP for Lamar Jackson. You're talking about home. You're talking about playoff positioning and maybe even risking something with the playoffs. This is a response game for Baltimore and for Lamar Jackson. I expect the Ravens to win a comfortable game. I'll take them -3. All right, Commanders and the Cowboys. Tyler had said this last week. He's going to roll betting against the Cowboys until he's not going to roll betting against the Cowboys. I'm jumping on that bandwagon, and I'm taking the Commanders -10.5 at home. Washington has not looked good offensively in the last couple weeks. There's been some adjustments made around the NFL. There's been like the quarterback's been banged up a little bit. I expect this is kind of the get right week for Washington, and Jane Daniels gets back to looking like he did pre-injury. So I'll take, and the Cowboys are done. They know they're done. They know their coach is done. You saw that when you watched them play on Monday night. Their quarterback is bad. I'll take the Commanders -10.5 over the Cowboys. And the Chiefs against the Panthers. There's a lot of games this week that I looked at and I considered. And the Chiefs ended up being the team that I picked. 10.5-point road favorites over the Panthers. Pretty bold to take 2 double-digit point games, especially this one on the road. But I'm going to take the Chiefs. Offense hasn't been great. Mahomes hasn't been great. This defense is tremendous. And Bryce Young stinks. So they've made some strides in Carolina, I guess. They've won a couple of games, but I'll take the Chiefs -10.5 over the Panthers. As you can look at my record, yes, while I am under 500 when it comes to the NFL, I am 7 games over 500 when it comes to my Eagles. And that Eagles record's not head-to-head. That's against the spread. So I am over 500 as we turn to Tyler Zoo. Is that 24-20? Am I 4 games over 500?
You are 4 games over 500 officially.
Don't let me get hot.
You will be. One of the two of us will pick up our 3rd loss with the Eagles this year, because you're 9-2. Of course, I missed a couple of weeks with being out, but I am 6-2 against with the Eagles this year. Here are my 3 picks.
18-9. Wow, man.
You mentioned bringing up the Lions or the Cowboys and riding the negativity of the Cowboys until that trend resets itself. Well, the positivity of the Lions continues to roll for me. I am going to take the Lions on the road -7.5. They head to Indianapolis. Indianapolis played probably its best game of the season last week. It's been a weird year. Anthony Richardson starts. He gets hurt. Flacco, Richardson. It's been a very weird season.
You know what? That whole
them.
thing was weird. You're right.
Very weird.
Yeah.
The Lions have scored 50 or more points twice in the last 4 weeks. They've also covered this exact line or better 4 of the last 6 times they've done it at 7.5 or greater. The Colts give up the 5th most passing yards on the year. They give up the 3rd most rushing yards on the season as well. This is a team that gives up a lot of yards, and I don't know if we know this or not, but the Lions are a team that picks up a lot of yards. Obviously, being facetious, we all know how good the Lions are. I'm going to take the Lions to continue to roll to win their 9th consecutive game and to do it pretty convincing fashion. I'm going to take Detroit -7.5. I'm also going to take a -7 Houston Texans over the Tennessee Titans. Now, Tennessee actually has one of the better defenses in the NFL this year. They've been much better than their record indicates because their offense hasn't been ever able to get out of its own way. Now, this is a strange line for me, John, because the Texans this year have won games against the Colts by 2, the Bears by 6, the Jags by 4, the Bills by 3. They've lost a game to the Packers by 2. They beat the Colts once again by 3, and then they lose to the Lions by 3. This is a team that doesn't really blow teams out until last weekend when they played a really bad Cowboys team and won 34-10. If this game stays in the low 20s for Houston, I could definitely see Tennessee covering this line even if they don't win. If Houston gets into the mid or high 20s in this game, there is zero chance that the Titans, who have scored 20 or more points just once since the calendar flipped to October, find a way to cover this game. If this game gets to 27 or 30 points for Houston, they're going to cover this one easily. I'm going to take the Texans at -7. This last one might as well be a pick 'em, but Bet Parks has given me a 0.5 point. It's funny, actually, the Cardinals are the favorite team on the money line, even though they're getting a 0.5 point. I'm not entirely sure how that works, but they're -108 on the money line, and the Seahawks are -113. This is a toss-up game. I'm going to take Kyler Murray. I'm going to take the rested team. The Seahawks had a pretty emotional win last week to beat the 49ers and get back to 500. I just like this Cardinals team a little bit more to stay on top of the NFC West. You call it plus or minus a 0.5 point. You call it a pick 'em, whatever you want to say. I'm going to take the Cardinals to win this game outright, regardless of what the line is. I like Arizona in this one.
I looked at that one as well. Thank you, Tyler Zulli. Yeah, I looked at that one as well. We hate when I say we, I don't necessarily mean me, but we hated Jonathan Gannon in this town, and he's done a pretty damn good job since he's went to Arizona. I didn't think that he was going to be a good head coach. Cardinals playing well. Kyler Murray looks good. I don't know how far and how long that can go. He stayed healthy this year, which is probably a big part of it, but he's done a good job. All right, Tyler. So hold on a second. I have to be like, sorry. I still have the remnants of the strep throat, and I had like the mucus that I needed to clear to continue the rest of the show. So we have a third member of the show that is with us every Friday. A lot of people may not know this, but we wanted to introduce our intern Daulton, who sits and watches the show. Oh, there he is.
Hey.
What's up, buddy?
How you doing, guys? How's everything going?
Good. So Daulton sits, he watches the show, he makes promos, he gives me stats and information and things like that. So I talked to him last week. I said, listen, you're a huge sports fan. You're a big numbers guy. We need the intern Daulton stat of the week every Friday on the show. So today is the debut. We need like a fancy open to this too, Tyler. We need that. It's time for the intern Daulton stat of the week. What do you got this week, Daulton?
Okay, so heard you guys were talking about Brandon Graham and wanting to kind of see if he would come back next year. And so I thought that I would give you some about Brandon Graham and what he's done so far this year.
All right, what do you got?
So, first and foremost, he has played the most snaps in the last 3 years at 46%. He has 8 quarterback pressures, which he had 11 all of last year. He has 4 tackles for loss, which is equal to his total from last year. And he has 4 quarterback hits, which is he had 6 from last year, all of last year.
So he's outperforming what he did last year. Now, I think he's also getting more snaps this year, right? You would have thought that. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's at I have it here 46% snaps, which is 282.
Yeah, so they've been using him, and it hasn't been used out of desperation, right? I think going into the season, you would have thought he's clearly a rotational player, but the more snaps they've given him, he's not tired, he's not injured. Every game he plays, you see 55 around the ball all the time. It's amazing. And Daulton, I don't know if you saw this, but Zach Gelb, who hosts on the National Sports Network, now it's Xfinity Sports, but it's CBS, the old CBS Sports Radio that I worked. He had Brandon on, and Brandon's just like, this time of day doesn't work for him. But he had seen the tweet that I put out and said that I don't think Brandon wants to retire and he shouldn't retire. And Zach asked him on the show. He had him on that night, and he asked him on the show, and he texted me and he said, "Yeah, asking you shall receive." He asked Brandon, and you can tell Brandon doesn't want to retire, and he didn't want to address it because the season was going on. Let him keep playing, right, Daulton? If he's going to produce like this, you know what he gives you in the locker room is beneficial as well. If he's still productive on the field, he's healthy and he wants to play. I need more Brandon Graham. I don't need Brandon Graham to retire.
Yeah, I mean, he's looked really good so far this year. I think stats back it up, and it's not like he's rotational. He's going along with Nolan Smith, and J.X. Hunt is starting to get in there a little bit. I know Bryce Huff's going to be probably out for a couple weeks with the wrist injury, but
I forgot to talk about that.
Yeah, he's kind of proven that he can play another year at least.
All right, well, there he is. So Daulton is a young student who is a student in media at Montgomery County Community College. He's interested in radio. He's interested in anything sports and media related. So you will see him every Friday with his stat of the week. Intern Daulton, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you next week. Yeah. All right, well, there he is. He did a good job. He actually looked like an insider when you brought him up there on the screen, Tyler.
That was well done.
Yeah.
Kid's got a bright future ahead of him.
He does. He looked like he could be our Adam Schefter.
And now I feel old by saying kid's got a bright future ahead of him. That made me feel really old.
Just wait until you get a little bit older. Because now, Tyler, officially with having the son, life's never going to go faster, brother. The days are long. Yeah. The years are short.
It's so funny you said that. I literally said that to my wife yesterday. I was like, hey, these days are difficult, but our son is going to be a month old in 4 days.
Are you ready to take the month-old pick? Do you have a prop in the background?
I'm sure we do. I'm sure we've got something. But you know what I mean? It's so funny that you said that because I literally said to her yesterday, like, hey, man, these days are tough. But, like, all of a sudden you look up and, you're heading on 4 weeks, you're heading on a month, and all of a sudden, and, I said to her, I go, he's getting kind of big. And she was so mad. She's like, no, I want him to be a little baby forever. Yep. And it's funny you say that because I legitimately said that to her yesterday.
I have it's funny now, I don't know when this started, but since we have my first, every month, now if you have children, you put it on social media or whatever, you just keep it for yourself. You have like a different way to do the month, right? So we had blocks.
Okay.
So we have the name and then months, and then you can switch it to years or weeks or whatever, and then you have the numbers. We've taken a monthly picture with all of my daughters every month.
That's cool.
Their entire life. So you can do it in a slideshow. You can do it in pictures. Like we have the first 12 months of my daughters, each picture in there, and then you have like the 1-year-old picture.
I think would be super cool is if you continue to do that as they get a little bit older and give it to them as like a college graduation gift or something like that. And it'd be like, hey, this is us from, the last 18 years of your life. I think that would be super, super cool. Just an awesome sentimental gift for you and your family. Because I think not only is it a gift for them, but it's kind of a gift for you to get to spend the time with them.
It'll make me cry. My kids make me cry all the time.
Sure.
But so Gianna, my oldest, she just turned, or she'll be 9 in December. So you only get 2 blocks to do the months. And by the way, shout out to everybody watching on TV out there. For more of us, go to YouTube, go to allphly.com to check out the rest of the show. So there's only 2 blocks, which means you can't go 100 months. We still, even with my almost 9-year-old, we still do a monthly picture.
Okay.
So you
That's
can't.
Cool.
So we finished doing the monthly picture with her, because once you get 8, well, what would it be? It'd be 8
12
times 12
times whatever.
96. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this year we ended it. We couldn't do the monthly picture anymore because there's not enough blocks. There's not triple digit blocks.
It's funny you say that, because like there, every family has like the different sentimental, things and whatnot. And I was at my mom's not too long ago, and I was in the basement of my mom's, and one of the closets is where we used to keep all of like our board games and whatnot. And up against one of the walls was like, the lines, right? It would say like TZ, 10, 12, 1997, right? Or 2000 or whatever it was. And it was me and my brother. And, there's lines for me and there's lines for my brother. And as we're getting taller, and it got to a point where there was a 2x4 that like stuck out the other way. And that was kind of the mark of like, I guess we can't do this anymore because the 2x4 is in the way.
You're too tall. Oh, that's fun.
The sentimentality of it, like I never got it. Even as an adult, I never I'm like, oh, Mom, why are you doing this? Why do we have to take the same family picture at Christmas? We're adults now. And then my son was born, and I'm like, yep, I get it. I get it all.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy it. Short week next week. We're still going to be here with you. Thank you to watching live on YouTube. Everybody out there that's watching live on YouTube, involved in the chat, not involved in the chat, thank you. We always appreciate you, our mad chatters, every morning. If you're watching on demand on YouTube, I know I try to put the link out after the show is over. Appreciate it. Appreciate you watching and listening. The podcast is up every day. A couple minutes after 9 o'clock, Tyler gets it going, and you can listen to the audio version of our podcast. Just search Philly with Jon Marks wherever you find your podcasts, and follow us on social media. I'm at Jon, Jon Marks, Marks Media. That's across all platforms. Are you doing this Blue Sky thing? I created an account, but it was like with Threads.
Yeah,
they started Threads, and it's
yet.
Like, all right, I got enough social media, but.
And I I've heard a lot of good things about it. People around here have kind of bought into it a little bit, and I'm like, honestly, you know what it is? It's lazy for me.
Yeah,
it took me a really long time to build up even a modest following on Twitter. Like 8 years of professional media stuff, right? I don't know if I want to do that again.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even put out.
It's just lazy for me, but
I didn't even put out the tweets that said, "Hey, I'm on Blue Sky. Follow me on Blue Sky." I certainly didn't put out the tweet that said, "Yeah, I'm not going to be on Twitter much anymore, so follow me on Blue Sky." I didn't do any of that, and I still will be on Twitter. And last night I put out a tweet talking about Mike Missinelli. Apparently, according to Joe Krause of Jacob Media, he tried to physically assault him at the Delaware County Courthouse. I commented on that last night, and people got all mad at me for it. Anyway, everybody have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday morning at 8 o'clock. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.